Social media, put simply, is just a phenomenal game changer. When I was a journalist, there was no social media. So all the major media outlets had the game stitched up in terms of getting the information out there. Now, anyone is a journalist. If you've got an iPhone, you're a journalist. If you can take a photo, if you can take video footage of an incident, if you can type out a tweet or put something on Facebook or on your blog, you're a journalist. So information now is faster. That's the upside. The downside is the danger of inaccuracy. Social media moves information so quickly, it sometimes goes too quick for its own good. That means mistakes. So to sum up your question, Nick, I would say yes, it is an absolutely enormous change that social media has added to the general media landscape. There are good sides to it and bad sides. You only have to look at the recent Independent Commission Against Corruption hearings in New South Wales. Traditionally, in New South Wales and other states, you're not allowed to take recording devices into courtrooms. So traditionally, journalists would get the facts, they'd listen to what's being said, then they would come out and they would file a story. These days, they tweet. You are allowed to tweet from the courtroom. So it is a second-by-second, blow-by-blow account of what's going on. You can't get any faster than that in terms of coverage of a story. Now let's look at another anecdote. I worked very closely on the communications management of the grounding of the MV Rena, a container ship off New Zealand a few years ago. Basically, the ship crashed on the reef, caused an enormous environmental mess, and the global media, of course, was watching. It was very big, very dramatic, oil in the water, containers in the water. The vessel ended up breaking up. It was a very visual and dynamic and dramatic story. Now, the media, we were feeding the media with facts as best we could. We were working overtime to keep them fed with the latest information. We promised them, we said, we will let you know as things happen. But that wasn't enough, because journalists being journalists, they want the edge, they want the scoop, they want to be first with the latest bit of information, whatever that might be. So on many occasions I was getting phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning when the salvage team wasn't even on the vessel, and they'd say, "Is it true? Is it true?" And I'd say, "Is what true?" "She's broken up. The ship's broken up in two." And then I'd start to think, surely the salvage team would have told me that. So I'd check and they'd all say, "No, it hasn't broken up, no. But it's on social media. It must have broken up." And this just kept happening and happening. Some person in the boondocks would make a blog. Maybe they were being cheeky or mischievous or whatever, but the Rena's broken up. And then one of the major media outlets over there got caught out. They broke into their television program with a breaking news flash. Rena has broken up. They believed one of the social media reports and they got it wrong. And then they had to put a very big retraction and make a public apology. So you can see the pressures in play, the dynamics in play. There are a couple of examples. It's hard because it's very much law of the jungle. Information is a commodity that has no boundaries. If you or I want to put something out there that's right or wrong, how can anyone really verify it, certainly in a quick time frame? Sometimes it takes hours, sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes weeks to verify something. But the trap the media often fall into is it's a sheep-like mentality. It's like a pack of sheep. Something breaks or something is said and they all follow each other. They jump on the bandwagon and the story takes off. You only have to watch Media Watch once a week to get the idea of how these things happen. So on the point of verification, Nick, it can be very hard sometimes in that cutthroat, hard and fast environment of getting information out there to verify something. And you've got to put yourself in a journalist's shoes. They're seeing a big story, they're seeing the big angle, and they're thinking, this could be good for my career if it's right. And they have to take a punt sometimes. Sometimes it's a risk. And sometimes editors face enormous pressure of saying, do we go with this? From what information we have available, can we make an informed decision that it's 90% accurate or 95% accurate? And they go with it. If it's right, fine. If it's wrong, look out. Yeah. So verification in the world of social media can be very difficult.
I guess one positive thing with social media and iPhones and stuff is that we've now got video recording, which is one thing that I guess video can lie, but it's good having, like say like the Boston bombings or something, or at least, we can attain that footage, and that's what was there, so.
Absolutely, and look, footage is a safeguard that's in place, and what often the major media outlets will say, they'll break it with words to the effect, footage on social media appears to show ABC, or reports on social media are saying X, Y, Z. That's one way around it. But yes, you are right, footage and photographs often don't lie. There are examples of people who play tricks and games just for the fun of it, so you can't always rely on it, but it does take you a step closer to that verification process. I do. Look, often gut instinct has a lot to do with it. And look, I don't want to paint a picture here that media outlets just willy-nilly in an irresponsible way go out there every day and just put out whatever's running on social media. They don't. They do, by and large, try to get it right. Sometimes it's just a case of a few phone calls. Sometimes it's a case of catching up with someone face to face to get a better understanding of what they're saying. There are some verification checks you can do, but not always, especially when things are moving so fast. And that's why I refer to social media as such a double-edged sword. It has its good, but it also has its downsides. And anyone in the journalism field dealing with social media needs to tread with extreme caution.
Thanks so much, Matt.